Spontaneous salutations, everybody. My name is Spencer Long, and we are back once again for Are You Saurious? And this is episode 3, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm very honored today because I have a very special guest joining me today to share his story. And boy, howdy, it's quite a tale to say the very least. Without further ado, I have Craig Sautkowski joining me today. Say hello, Craig.
Hello, Craig.
This is the kind of energy that I like to have in my show. Fun, energetic, and full of charisma.
That's it. You nailed me right on the head right there. How are you, Mr. Spencer? Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. And thank you for taking the time to sit down and chat with me this evening for the next episode of the show. I would like to extend that I'm not only grateful, but all the viewers are in for a humongous treat this evening. So let's get started, shall we?
Sure, let's go. Thank you.
Okay, so first off, and the biggest one on the list that I have for this evening is my mother told me that many years ago you had been a volunteer firefighter during 9/11, and that led to a whole domino effect of events that happened in your life. So can we start from the beginning of how that all happened and where it got you to today, if you don't mind?
Sure. Number one, I wasn't a firefighter. I was a I was a
Okay.
I was a volunteer. And I was a volunteer at the World Trade Center for 2 days. It just so happened that to get any kind of benefits or anything with the funds and everything like that, medical, um, you had to be there for 4 hours of the first 5 days. I was there for 2 days of the first 5 days. So I kind of hit the wrong lottery. It wasn't until 2012 that I developed a pneumonia and a collapsed lobe of my right lung, and it was the bottom lobe. And I was sick for about 5 years. 2017. I was sick all of 2016. I had pneumonia and pleurisy. And from 2012, I'd get sick every now and again. And I used to tell my wife all the time that I didn't understand why somebody had to be in this much pain, and not realizing later that my lung was still collapsed. What happened was whatever was coming from the carcinoid tumor was actually going into the part that was dead, and it literally saved my life because it had not gone throughout my body. Um, 2017, we were going to see an eclipse in Helen, Georgia, and we were walking, and I'm an avid walker, hiker. We were going to see the eclipse, and we had to walk up this big hill, and I couldn't get up the hill. And I started getting heart palpitations. I started profusely sweating. And long story short, ended up going to the hospital, told me I had malignant cancer. But they said it in front of my 11-year-old daughter at the time. And my first natural instinct was to throat punch the doctor. My daughter wasn't stupid by any stretch of the imagination. And she was a little concerned, which I'm sure every 11-year-old would be. I ended up getting a rigid and flexible bronchoscopy. And during one of them, I can't remember which one, they actually nicked the carcinoid tumor. So it started spewing all kinds of stuff throughout my body. I was in a hospital for, I want to say 7 days, 7 days. They almost killed me. It was some serious stuff.
I'll say.
Long story short, they got me in to get a bilobectomy. I think it was a couple weeks later. Oh, first they after that had happened, I was in the hospital. They took me by ambulance to another hospital to get this emergency surgery and radical this, and I was like, okay, cool. I get to the other hospital after they took me by ambulance to this other hospital, and I get to the other hospital, and they're like, well, what are you doing here? They had no
What kind of
clue
an
what to
answer is
do.
that?
So it was like So you have two hospitals communicating with each other. I get to the other hospital, and the other hospital doesn't know why I'm even there. That was fun.
Lord.
A couple weeks later, I got a bilobectomy. They took my mid and lower lobe of my right lung out. It was a 9 hour surgery. During that surgery, I ended up getting something they called Saturday night palsy because my arm was in a position straight out for so long that it just kind of like numbed the nerve, I guess. And it took me a minute to get it back because I'm flapping around and stuff. My wife and daughter, of course, laughing at me, be like, "Come here, I'll get you." And they're like, "What are you gonna do? What are you gonna, like that kind of." Because it's what happens, man. You need banter in your life when you're facing serious illnesses, ailments, anything. I believe we need to laugh all the time. While I was in the hospital during that surgery, I told you before, um, the I ended up waking up when they were bringing me from from the ER or the operating room to, I guess, a bed for after the surgery. And I woke up and I was screaming, and it felt like I was screaming for hours because my blood pressure had gone down, and they couldn't give me any more meds, or else they would have killed me. I was already medded out for 9 hours, and was in the hospital, I think, like 5 to 7 days. Again, another week. While I was there recovering, had a couple things happen to me. And I'm laughing now because it's like, you can't even make this shit up, man. I look at it like this is my life. The pain doctor actually bent the epidural in my back um, because he had tripped over the line. Another nurse tripped over the line for my tube that was in my ribs. It was a drain tube. And then another incident happened where the nurse was cleaning my catheter and she tripped over the line and she ended up pulling it out halfway. That hurt so much. It took me like 6 months to a year to be able to pee straight. So so you go through all of these things, right? And it wasn't, I never really thought about 9/11 after the event, simply because we were in the process of moving down to Florida, getting married and all this stuff. And then a few years later, we got a bunch of houses, and a couple hurricanes in 3 weeks came and knocked the hell out of us.
It's brutal down there in Florida. Hurricane season. Oh,
They
you're in
just
the
had they
thick of
just
it.
had they just had a tornado that took out half of Panama City. That was yesterday.
I think I saw that, and the whole house was
Yeah, it was
collapsed on
trying
the
to. Yeah.
beach.
Yeah.
Unreal.
These are outside events that we can't control. We just can't. And this is one of the reasons why, when we were talking before, everything has to be about here. Everything. This is the only thing that you can control. It's the only real estate that we can own. While I was going through these surgeries and procedures, I ended up having a bunch more in 2020. I don't remember the number, 8 or 12 or whatever. It just felt like every month I felt like I was getting knocked out, from anesthesia. And each surgery that I was having and procedure, it just started to wear me down more and more. It was a whole year of surgeries and procedures. And while I was going through all of that, I ended up being a Power Voice speaker for Les Brown. And it brought me to a different understanding of myself, because I was ready to, I was giving up. I was done. I was tired. I was worn out. I was self-defeating, self-loathing, isolating myself from my wife and daughter, weeks, months at a time. It's stuff that you go through mentally when you are somebody that has done well, and then you turn around and you're not doing well at all. Not at all. After the collapse in 2008, my wife and I raised our daughter in Mexico for 7 years. Um, there's just so many things that can move your life. I'm thinking about our conversation we had before, and I'm thinking about how to put this into context. And it comes down to, I'm one of tens of thousands of people from 9/11 that are sick and dying, and nobody really cares. And while I have my voice, while I'm still able to talk about my story, I want to encourage people to talk about their story. And this is something that we all need to understand. Life is too short, number one. We need to shorten the time and energy that we put into things and actually execute on the things that we have a vested interest in instead of all the bullshit. I'm doing it for mommy, I'm doing it for daddy, I'm going to college for them, going to. I know so many people have college educations that are owning stores, right? I get it, I understand it. We need education. We just don't need school to be that priority. People get educated in many different ways. I'm self-taught, books, read everything, videos, for years. I would I was one of those guys that would take newspapers. I have 5, 6 newspapers and a cup of coffee and just start spreading them out, reading all kinds of real estate stuff and how to find things and research stuff. I guess the point that I'm coming to is that if you don't have a vested interest in everything that you do, you're going to, number one, probably hate your family. Number two, hate yourself more than anything because you're going to believe life is flying by. Number three, you get into self sabotage. When you have these things that are not for you, you start self sabotaging. And we were talking before when I was asking you about like your age group, like what are these kids are they looking for? And because I see so many kids now, you know, Instagram, Facebook. Every time I turn my phone on, is another app that they want me to download, upgrade. I'm just like, I want a flip top phone and a satellite. That's it. I'm done. I can't. I hardly can text anymore. I had 2 hand surgeries, so it's like this
Oh
freezes
my
up. My
god.
signature is never the same when I go to a bank. It's never the same. And this is starting to hurt like hell too. So it's like I'm not texting. I'm done. 58 years old. Forget about this bullshit. You want to get in touch with me? Call me. If not, send me an email. I'm just done. I'm just done. And I see a lot of kids now, young adults, depressed, anxious, uh, suicidal, cutting. All of these things go back to being depressed. Just how society views everything now as a sickness. We celebrate stupidity. We honor stupidity. And then when there's something that's very important, it's glossed over. Because it's not sensational. And what I find with the young adults now is the comparisons. Everybody's comparing themselves to this person or that person, but nobody wants to accept the accountability of being themselves. It's a very hard pill to swallow, right? It's very hard to look in the mirror. Like I'm 58 years old and I look in the mirror now every day and I'm grateful that I'm 58. I know a lot of people that are not living. I've had a lot of friends, family members pass over the years. And it's not that it gets easier, it gets harder because when you turn around and as an older person and you look at all the things that you've done in your life and you have some kind of regrets, you have some kind of pain, misery, self loathing, emotional insecurities, all of this shit goes back to 0 to 8 years old. This is another thing we were discussing
The
before.
the magic years more or less of our inner child still preserved somewhere deep inside of us. No matter how old we may get, there's still that inner child in our heart that is still calling out and looking for some joy and happiness now and again.
Joy and happiness because we've experienced pain and misery, right? So you could be. I mean, we were talking about molestation. I was molested when I was a kid. Now I just talk about things that little kids shouldn't have to go through because being, the molestation is heavy. But if you talk about things that little kids shouldn't have to go through, it's still heavy, but you can continue the story. People are not going to get stuck and sucked into that story, right? And what I try to explain to people, or I explain to people all the time, is that if you're stuck in your story, you're emotionally attached to past circumstances, past events. Well, of course we are. Well, Joe Dispenza said humans have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. 90% of those thoughts are the same as what we had the day before. So we're literally living in the past. To create a new future for yourself, right? We can't be living in the past because look, when you look back, your neck hurts, right? It's like, so,
And
so
right.
there's a reason why the windshield is so big and the rear view mirror is so small, is we have to be able for ourselves, no needs and wants. If you need something or you want something, you just don't have it. You have to have. You have to have the ambition. You have to have the fortitude. You have to be resilient in this world to continue moving forward. From this point forward is how I live my life. And I refuse to look back at all the deceptive behaviors, all the, self-sabotaging, self-loathing, fucked up relationships we've been in. Doesn't matter. It could be your mom, your dad, your husband, your wife, your kids. We're prone, especially if we're emotional creatures, we're prone to self-destruct, self-sabotage if we're not doing things that serve us. So what I encourage people to do is get out of all of these outside influences, all of this stuff here, right? Because this is the Wi-Fi that we need to tap into for ourselves. All the people, places, and things that come into your life and they're stopping you and they're holding you back, and you're codependent in relationships and you're self-sabotaging and you're trauma bonding. We have all of these issues that we have. Those are all outside influences. The only issue that we have is moving away from the emotional attachment we have to all of those bullshit stories, because that's all they are. Doesn't matter. And this is what people are like, oh, he's egotistical, he's callous, he's all this shit. Doesn't matter what the story is. It doesn't matter. It could be the worst story in the world. People are still resilient. People will still come out of this, whatever the story is. So we have to for ourselves, more than anything, is face the darkness. You have to be able to look at the wound, take the Band-Aid off and watch it scar. And it's deep work, man. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy. It's
Not at
simple.
all. And you had said something when we had talked earlier, and it's I'm still thinking about it. It was something along the lines of, you said you were talking about the light versus the shadows and your own shadow. Could you repeat that again? Because that was some profound stuff that you were dropping on me earlier today. And I was sitting in my chair like, oh man, I am I'm so excited to do this episode tonight because that's some great stuff. Can you repeat that one for everyone at home?
Probably not because I forgot, but we'll
Yeah.
strike, we'll strike it back up, right? So we're all light sharing in my being, okay? In what I believe, and remember, there's always a lie in the middle of belief. Belief, it doesn't. It even spells out lie. So I believe we're light seeking a human experience, and not human seeking enlightenment. We're already the bright shining star. What happens is we beat ourselves up with all our past failures, and we were talking about you know I used to tell everybody I batted 800, and this is an amazing thing and all of that shit. I bat 250 now. I'm 58 years old, probably bat 250. It's like three-quarters of the time I'm wrong, but the one quarter is I'm hitting it out of the park. I'm not hitting singles and striking out and doubles. No, man. No, I believe we all have greatness within, and once we find through all the embarrassing situations that we go through, all the bullying and bullshit that everybody needs a timeout for, or a safe place and all of that. Fuck the safe place. There is no safe place. There isn't. Okay. The thing that you can create that's safe for you is how to control your emotions. Because the circumstances, life is going to come whether you are prepared or not. Whether you want to participate, life is still going to come and force you into a better version of yourself if you allow it. And I believe becoming insane is one of the best things people can do because you're going in to become sane. So you're insane from all your shitty thoughts and loathing and just all of these things that we have to go through, you know? And yeah, sorry, I just went off on this like tangent.
No, by all means, I'm loving every second of this, and even so, it's only our second time chatting today, and still the power and just how well it resonates with myself and my own experiences in life so far is off the walls. It's I'm loving every second of this, so please do not apologize whatsoever. We were talking earlier about how a lot of people who are within my age group, who are whether they're my age or they're in their late 20s, early 30s, perhaps at the latest, um, and even kids who are still they're still growing up or they're about to enter the graduating high school or they're going to college. The continuing the thing that I always hear is if you haven't made it by 30 years old, you've basically failed and you've lost your chance and there's no chance to make up for it after that. This is the prime and there's no second chances. So what are your what's your thoughts on that as a whole?
I think you failed at 30 years old if you actually believe that you failed at 30 years, because that is the most ridiculous statement that I have ever heard. And the reason why is because you're 30 fucking years old, man. Are you kidding me? You're still a puppy. I'm 58 years old. The problem that I see in society now is the internet, right? It's a great tool, but it's also giving people self-destructive behaviors because we're comparing ourselves to other people. Oh, look at so and so. I was talking before about this. Look at that Mercedes that he's driving. Oh my God, he must luckiest person in the world. Beautiful, shiny shit. Well, you don't know. His parents probably like died 2 days before. That was his mom or dad's favorite car. And the person's driving around with it, not knowing, and the people that are viewing this person, not knowing that the kid's parents just got killed. I mean, this is the reality of life. Everything is a highlighted reel. And it shows people that number one, nobody's got their shit together. I don't care who you are. I don't care whatever alphabet letters you have after your name. I used to say I've met the world and the world doesn't impress me because it really doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't matter what culture you come from, right? It doesn't matter how old you are. Nobody has their shit together. Nobody. It does. If you see somebody that's got this big, beautiful house and everything like that, and they got the wife, they got 2.2 kids, they got the puppy, they got all. As soon as he closes his door, you don't know what misery this person is living in. And this is what people really need to understand. All these highlights and reels and taking pictures of your food. And am I guilty of this shit? Of course, it's 2024. We all have our own stories that we can tell. We all have a story that we can tell. We can share our love with the world. And we talked about this before, how if you're not sharing your story in 2024, then you're basically fucking selfish because the world needs your experience, your unique experience. And this is where kids, I call them kids because I mean, you're talking about 30-year-olds. So I'm almost 30 years older than them. Right? I'm the old guy now, which is kind of funny because I'm like, I was telling you, like people like, I had one person actually be like, oh, I want to be just like you. And I was like, fucking neurotic, aim higher. I mean, you don't know what people go through. You see people and you want to idolize people, and it's like, don't put people on a pedestal because they're just human. We're just simians. We have evolved into an age where we can think. right? You said, oh, animals can't think. Like animals are smarter than we'll ever be. I mean, it's just that's it. What do you
There's a lot more that goes on than most people let on. Some people think they're an animal. We're a human being. I'm like, yeah, but we're also animals. So do you not think that
say?
there are other animals that think just like we do? There are animals in this world that have more empathy and patience than most people nowadays because we have the attention span of a goldfish, for goodness sakes.
And we're always just rolling around in that bowl. That's all we do. We always
Yeah.
want to be somebody else. We're always looking outside, and we have to seek what's inside ourselves. We have to look at our wisdom because we all have done great things. Everybody has done great things, you know. And if somebody's telling you, "Oh, you're never going to amount to anything," tell them to shut the fuck up because they have not amounted to anything. They've amounted to somebody that is, number one, emotionally insecure because you don't say shit like that to people. You encourage people. You want to uplift people. You don't want to shit on people. And we live in a society where it's like a porta john. This society is a porta john. And all we have to do is keep moving it around and you'll find the same shit everywhere. Doesn't matter.
Like I could even say it's as bad as like a porta john at a really crowded Coachella concert.
There you go.
It could be really, really bad sometimes.
Stinky.
But I don't I guess that's one thing that I just don't understand how we've gotten to this point where we're we're very desensitized to a lot of things.
Sure.
We don't we're so focused on ourselves and what we're doing rather than trying to help others succeed or feel good about themselves or work be the best that they can be. And how did we get there over a couple decades?
I think, I believe anyway, we need to take time for ourselves. Okay. Maybe in a little bit of a selfish manner as well. Because if you have all of these, I'm not saying you, I'm just talking about in general, we have all of these problems,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Every family is not perfect. Every family is not self sabotaging. Every family is not narcissistic. So if you find yourself in these situations, change your situation. And people are like, oh, how can you do that? No, you don't know what it's like. And let's start sharing stories then. Tell me your story if I don't know what it's like. Yeah. You know, people are like, you don't look like what you've been through. It's like, what the fuck does that even mean? But
What does that mean?
I mean, I don't look like what I've been through. I pulled all my hair out of my head. What are you talking about? You know, it's like, come on. You know, this we're so ridiculous as a society, as a culture. It's like nobody laughs or cries in a different language. Yet we all think and talk about our, not our commonalities, more about our differences, right? And I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were speaking about how if society just looked at their character instead of their fucking phone, their selfie pics and all of this shit. Look at your character. How do you want to view yourself to help yourself progress as a human being instead of a human doing? You know, we have to be the person. If you want to be a multimillionaire, you have to think like a multimillionaire now, not when you're a multimillionaire. So you have to do the habits now. You have to change your psychology. You have to change your physiology. You have to change your biochemistry. You have to change you in order to see the change outside. So it's like you're looking at yourself now. What does your life look like? Is it confused? Is it like, you know, I need to study here, I need to do this, I need to do it, execute. Learn how to face your fear and move from this point forward. Move forward. We're always stuck in our minds, thinking about the past, thinking about, oh, so and so said if I do this, gives a shit. They're not you. They're not you. You have to level up for yourself. You know, we speak about how these kids now fucking 20-year-olds are making $30 million on YouTube. There was a 9-year-old, she made $23 million. And there was somebody interviewing the mom. And it was like, well, what college is she going to go to? The mom was like, she just made 23 fucking million dollars. She doesn't have to go to college. She's 9. Like,
Fair, very
how do you,
fair.
like,
Yeah.
how do you even try to register that? Like, you can't, you know? I had a buddy of mine and he was talking about his kid. And he was like, at 15, my kid made more money than I ever did as model influencer or whatever. How can you tell that person what to do? You can't. Just fucking look at you and laugh. Unless you raise that child to understand that all this shit out here is nothing. It's irrelevant. Everything here is relevant. Everything that's in your heart and your soul. We have to tap into this external Wi-Fi, not all the stresses, people, places, and things. We have to tap into this where how nature can bring 12 women to anywhere in the world, right? They could come from anywhere in the world. They could bring them anywhere in the world and have these 12 women in a year. And it's probably been less than that. Their periods would sync together. How does that happen? It's a God experience. It's an experience, again, like we all have. We all have this thing inside of us that keeps us breathing, right? That keeps us walking, not thinking about walking. It keeps us, just swallowing, blinking. This thing that we have, this God source, this gut feeling, it's all inside of us. And if you're not going to be willing to tap into this, the whole external world is going to be shit. I don't care if you're 20 years old now, and now 20 and 30-year-olds, they think the end of, if you're not famous by 30 years old, it's the end of your fucking life. Man, it's the end of your life thinking like that, thinking that you don't have time, okay, to actually think about how to move forward, because all your influences are saying you don't have time. And we discussed this. All you gotta do is shut your fucking phone off. That's it. Society is gone. You can do whatever you want. You want to plant a garden, you want to talk to your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, spouse, your cousins, whatever. Shut your fucking phone off and have a conversation. Delete most of the apps that you have on your phone. All bullshit. We live in a society that's just fickle on nonsense.
We're so attached to these things in our hands, and I can say that I'm guilty of it at
You
times,
all
but
are.
there's so many people where it's practically glued to their hand. They have to have it all times. They can't miss a thing. If they miss something, oh, stop the presses. Stop the presses, everybody. We've missed an entire lifetime gone by because we didn't look at it for 10 seconds. That
And
would be a
the entire
tragedy.
life, the entire lifetime in 10 seconds. That's exactly it. Oh my God, the world is gonna always be here, man. Always. The world's always gonna be there.
I've definitely found that whenever I'm most stressed or I'm most worried or I feel lost, the best thing that I can possibly do is it never fails. It never fails. I just put everything down, no electronics whatsoever. I just go outside and I take a walk and I just take in life and I
You don't
look
have an
around
app for
me.
that?
No, no, no. Well, maybe I'll see how many steps I got in around the block, but I'm more so focused on just looking around at life. Life is happening all around us. And we don't have to rely on our phones to tell us what's happening. We just have to use our eyes and look. The sky's blue, birds are singing, nature's living, and we're engrossed in technology and other people's lives rather than what we're doing.
Nature embraces diversity. Humans don't. And that's one of the saddest things, because we're a part of nature. That's why we can get into self-sabotaging, self-destructive modes and all of this other stuff. Because we are nature. So how ignorant are we to believe that we can change nature? Can't. We're part of this chaos. This chaos around us all the time. We're always looking. I love the word always, right? simply because I use it when I think about all my shitty times. And it was always about my shitty thoughts. You know, the things that we talk about just in general is ridiculous. It's not even self-serving. It's more like self-loathing because I have to compare myself to Spencer. Oh, that nice backdrop Spencer has. That microphone Spencer has. I like his goatee going into his chin like that. Oh, look at the smile. I don't have that. It's like, shut the fuck up. Everybody has it. Everybody. Why am I looking at somebody else and trying to form my life based off of their opinions, based off of their value system, based off of their morals, their ethic? We all have our own. And this is something that we all need to grasp in 2024. 2024 is a huge awakening. It really is. Because there are things being released now that people are going to be stunned about. And, I think it was Cat Williams just came out. A whole bunch of wild shit. Whole bunch of wild things about people and places and things and what people were doing. And everybody's just like, that really happens? Yeah, it happens every day. You're just not paying attention. You're looking at the highlights. Talk about your depression. Talk about your anxiety. Talk about like your cutting. Talk about these things, man. We as parents, I believe we pass our failures down to our children in order for them to be their successes. And that's why our global culture is shit. Because we're leaving these kids, go to school, go to school, go to school. Well, what happens if the kid wants to be a mechanic? What happens if the kid wants to work construction? What happens if the kid wants to write? What happens if the kid? Not everything is about school. Education is the most important thing. School isn't. We live in a society where it's like we're taught where to go to school, what to eat, what to buy, and it's all Madison Avenue stuff. This is all things that you can be tricked into. I when I was going through cancer and all that shit in Atlanta, I was teaching entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, young kids, in their 20s to understand what entrepreneurship is. And I look at them now and I'm like, there's some kids that have done really well for themselves. Very well. Very famous, rich, all that shit. And some have good personalities, some don't. And it's all off the enhancement of their currency. Because if you're an asshole and you get rich, now you're a rich asshole. And this is something that people really need to understand. Money just enhances your personality, whether it's good or bad. Doesn't matter. Gotta stop looking at people, man. You need to enjoy your life for yourself. And unfortunately, the way we are now, hit the button, start all over again. Because
Redo.
there is a guy who's got a funny sense of humor. I talk to him all the time. All the time. Be like, seriously, man? All right, nice. Chuck one up for you.
I do that myself sometimes as well, where if it's especially like a really tough day, I'm someone who I I ask questions a lot of times of to uh to God, being like, is there am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right path? Like, what do I do? What am I here for? And whenever I'm really frustrated, I will have moments like that where I'll look and I'll be like, am I part of like a ongoing comedy show that I didn't audition for? Like, what gives? And it's frustrating sometimes, but in the long run,
Okay, so
sometimes it's for the greater good.
what so the frustration, we all get frustrated. And what I've realized for myself is my frustrations are about my past or my future. It's never about my present. That's the gift we need to open. And people just don't understand how now is the only thing we have. Tomorrow is actually a theory that hasn't been worked out yet.
Good point.
But people are always looking to the future. And it's like, why can't you just be calm here? And the reason why I'm saying this is because I used to do the same thing all the time. I'd be looking towards, oh, you know what? How's it going to be like in 5 years, in 3 years? But you know what? Lose lose the ability to get out of bed. Lose the ability to not feel your legs. Lose the ability to not feel your torso. Lose the ability to maybe wake up in the morning and be like, why the fuck did I wake up? I can't go through this again. Sit in your thoughts, cry. There's plenty of times where I woke up, man, I had nothing left. Nothing. I just woke up and I was like, why the fuck am I waking up? I just like look up and be like, come on, man, stop. I don't want to be here no more. I don't want to be in pain all the time. And we all have these thoughts, and it's okay not to be okay. You just can't sit there. And because what happens is when we sit when we're not okay, it it becomes our habit. Then our habit becomes our character. Then our character becomes our life. And you can turn around and 20 years go by and be like, what the fuck did I just do in my life? I was into all these self-sabotaging, self-medicating, all these things that we do to ourselves just to avoid reality. And it's the reality that we create. And there's so many people that, I look at society sometimes and I shake my head. And it's like one of those cartoon shakes, like, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. It's like, what was that? Wait, huh?
A record scratch moment of a stop and a slow turn of what?
Yeah.
What did you just say?
What did you say? How did you say it? What made me like react to that? Like, were you pushing my buttons intentional? Or were you doing things that you thought I didn't see? Just because I didn't say anything. And this is, it's crazy. I, you know, when we talk about thinking different, right? With the entrepreneur kids, I used to ask them, like, if I gave you a job, shittiest job in the world, whatever you think is the worst job possible, and I paid you a penny a day, and I doubled it each day for 30 days, would you take the job? I'm talking about the worst shit in the world. Would you take the job? One penny, doubled each day for 30 days.
If from my perspective is, and I could think of some pretty tough and diabolical jobs. Do think that it does add up. It may be pennies, but I feel that the lesson is it all adds up.
It's 5+ million.
You said what now?
It's 5+ million.
My God.
It's
Sign me
compound.
up, please.
It's compounded. It's like the first 20 days is really nothing, but once you start getting into the $10, $20, $40, $80, and it starts, and then it's collective. It comes out to like 5 million plus. One penny doubled each day for 30 days. Huh? It's thinking different. I don't want you to think like me. I just want you to think different. Because why would you want to think like me? That means you have to accumulate all these fucked up experiences I have in my head. Don't think like me. Just think different for yourself. You're the only one that can logically understand who you are. You know all your dark shit. Nobody else does. But we think everybody does. Because these are the games that we play with ourselves.
Wow.
Right? And it's convoluted thinking.
It's only heightened. It's only heightened by going back to social media and how we all look at other people and do the comparison game, which it leads to a dark path. But we look at these snapshots that people post on their timelines, their stories, their reels, whichever it is on whichever platform. it may look like the most awesome experience, like I'm on a vacation at this cool island and I met this person, or look what I'm doing today and I did, and it makes us think they're the happiest person that has ever walked the face of the planet, and why can't we ever get that chance or feeling? We don't know what's going on the other side of the screen. They could
We
post that picture and then it's they're going through the worst time of their life with anything going on.
I lived in Hawaii for a few years. I'm looking at the picture right now, and like what you said, it could be beautiful. Or hold on one second.
Well, this ought to be good.
Now it's like, yeah, I live in Honolulu. It was beautiful, 80 degrees every day. Then why the fuck did I look like this? Because I was miserable. I was miserable living in paradise. Told you one of the lessons that I learned about living in paradise is when I went bankrupt for the first time. I needed money. I needed to borrow money to go bankrupt. That's what I thought. My God, everything is really screwed. I was so broke, I didn't even have money to go bankrupt.
I didn't even know such a thing as possible.
Sure,
Thanks
because
economy and stuff.
here's the thing, right? Like my attorney at the time was like, "I'll show you how to screw all of these people." I was like, "Oh, really cool." She's like, "But first, you're going to pay me because you're not going to screw me." I was
Of
like,
course. Of
"That makes
course.
sense." Well, I didn't have any money to buy the lawyer, so I needed to borrow money to go broke. I had a buddy of mine that went bankrupt as he drove out of the court proceedings in a brand new Cadillac.
No.
It's the way
It
it's how we think because most of us are mentally bankrupt because we're not putting value into ourselves. We're putting value into other people's stories, and that's when somebody takes their own. That's when somebody takes a different pen and has somebody else write their chapters for them. You always have to be in control of your own pen because when people are living rent free in your head, man, there's a lot of delusional thoughts that can go on there because you can self sabotage it to a point where it's like, oh, so and so's in my head all the time. Well, charge them. Get out of that shit. You're a landlord, man. Understand that.
it's the croucher in the corner who's feeding us all this negativity. Like, get it out, man. Get it out.
Yeah.
I was even talking to one of my friends, who he's also he actually does a lot of animation and character design work,
You're an
and
animator?
yeah, a character designer.
Really?
Yeah,
We got to talk later.
he's super talented, and it's funny that this is coming up again because we were saying the exact same thing just now about how it all it takes is that one croucher, if you will, that's in the corner, the darkest recesses of our mind, in the corner, waiting to come up to the steering wheel up front and be like, "All right, I got this. Let me just take you down the darkest, stormiest, dreariest path possible. I know what I'm doing." And it
Yeah.
messes up a day like no other.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what you're doing going down that dark path. Yeah. I used to go to every geographical location that I would live in, a different geographical location. Problem was, I would show up. I used to be like, oh, I can't wait to change this place. Nah, hell no. I used to get beatings all the time, mentally just frustrated and we have to absorb our experiences. When I say absorb them, we have to live them. We have to live our experiences. No matter how ridiculous, no matter how hurtful, no matter how just you have to live in those experiences and understand that biochemistry inside of us, those gut feelings and how the chemistry set changes to be emotionally vulnerable. We have to be more vulnerable. We have to learn how to laugh and cry. We have to show our emotions because they're human emotions. Everybody cries. Some people want to hold it in. Well, what happens? What happens when you hold it in? You get frustrated, aggravated, then you start really fucking with your own head, and because you're stored up energy. You have to release the energy into the universe. The universe can take it. Look how vast it is. We can't. But yet, this is the biggest computer on planet Earth. We can visualize anything. Whatever we can visualize, we can actually attract to us. Some people call it manifestation. We talked about this before. I don't believe it's manifestation. I think everything is already here. We have to change our frequency. We have to dial in, send out that vibration, that energetic level that we're at of a being. We are beings. So be that person now that you want to be in 10 years. Be it now. Because from this point to that actual event, right? Right here is who you become. And this is the process. I used to hate the process. Oh, Christ. I used to hate the process. Process
Takes
sucks.
too long. Oh, how do I get there? Oh, it's like hiking up and you're with the wet socks on. It's like, oh, are we there yet?
That's pretty. That's great. That's a great way to put it. We are wet socks. Dry
Not a
them
fun
fucking.
feeling.
Dry it out. Dry them out. Walk properly. We don't want to. It's always about. It's always about what other people are going to think, say, view you as. And it's like let them view you as a God because we all have God within, light seeking the human experience. So once we figure this out, we're star seeds, man. We're here. Think about this. What 400 million sperm cells to become uniquely us? And we think 1 in a million is amazing. Oh, you're 1 in a million. Nah, man, it's mediocre thinking at best. You're 1 in 8 billion, 7.5 to 8 billion. Those odds are just ridiculous. Don't waste the experience. We shouldn't waste the experience. There's so many people that waste their energy on stupid shit, just dumb stuff. And then they're wondering why they're not able to reach levels of success that they want because you didn't put the work into yourself. I think time is an illusion. I think it's the energy that you could do something. You hear overnight successes. Yeah, I'm an overnight success. I'm 58 years old. I've been doing this shit for 58 years. It's perspective.
It don't just happen with a fairy godmother just magically shows up on your doorstep and waves her magic wand and oh, all my problems, my God, they're all solved and feel so much better. I'm happier and life is just a whole new fairy tale. That just doesn't happen. Most of us wish that's how life happened because life can kick us real bad when we're down.
People can kick you when you're down. People that you love can kick you when you're down. People will take your emotional insecurities and use them against you, especially if you're vulnerable with the people that you love. So you have to be vulnerable with yourself. And that I think is missing out of your age group. It's great. You want to make $700 million in 12 minutes? That's fantastic. But I'll tell you one thing, and I guarantee this is going to happen. You're going to fucking hate yourself. Because you're not going to know whether or not people are around for you or for what you could do for them or the value of the millions that you have. And it's one of the things I've noticed young entrepreneurs do is when you reach a certain level real quick, oh shit, you're the end all. You're amazing. You're a god. And you're full of shit.
Sure, sure.
And what happens is you get rid of the people that call you out on your bullshit because you need those people in your life. You need those people to be like, hey, Spencer, calm down, kid. I can show you exactly what's going to exactly T to T what's going to happen if you keep this momentum going in that direction. And they're like, oh my God, how did you know? It's the same pattern. We're not that bright. We aren't. And people be, oh, and I have this jet and I got the car and I got the house and I got all of these things. But do you have peace?
It is true. Money, as the old saying goes, money can't buy us happiness.
No, but it can give you a different location, put a smile on your
Yeah,
face.
yeah, it could you could move out to like Aruba and be on the beach side and yet somehow for some reason you still feel sad.
Sure.
You still feel that same sadness as you did before you had millions of dollars. But we don't know why. We
Because
should be better.
we waited for the event to happen, and they were like, "Oh man, that's it, it's done." Instead of, like working with clients, it's like, all right, if your child gets married, are you going to be happy? Yes. If your child graduates school, you're going to be happy? Yes. Your wife, she's going to do whatever she wants. You're going to be happy? Yes. Why not just be happy now before the event? Let's change our physiology to understand that we have the ability to change our thoughts before the event actually happens. So why not be happy for yourself right now as the multimillionaire? If that's what you want to do. Success is defined by the person, not by groups, right? My success is different than your success. I have very little stress in my life simply because I don't have cancer.
It's
I'm
fantastic.
Yeah, I'm like, I had an incident happen. I was so stressed out. I'm in the middle of this lawsuit, which is global conglomerate. They basically gave my information out, and everything I owned got wiped out.
Oy,
And this,
oy.
I had one account for like 23 years. There was 22,000 deleted emails, 25,000 email contracts. I'm reading my list right here, and I forgot where I was going with this. Instead of brain fart. Because I'm looking at this and I'm just like, I can't believe I'm still looking at this. It's been a year and a half, and I'm like, oh, talk
It
about
it
it.
it brings back too much stuff in the past.
So here's the thing, exactly, exactly. So I just triggered myself looking at this shit, and it was like, it is what it is. It's gone. Nothing I can do about it. The thing I want to show you is nothing changed. Nothing changed. There was no biological change from looking at this. I've been doing this for tens of thousands of hours, understanding myself. Now, are we going to look at something and get triggered by it? Yeah, of course. We all will, because that's something that we haven't worked on. If you're being triggered by something, you haven't worked on that. That's it. You haven't done a dark work. Even in dark, your shadow will still leave you. So you have to do this shit for yourself. And one of the things that is so important, I believe, in human behavior is to understand yourself. Look in the mirror. What do you see? I look in the mirror now, I see some goofy dude from Jersey. That's it. Am I amazing? Yeah, absolutely. I'm an amazing goofy dude from Jersey. And it's like, I can't even begin to tell you this. Seriously. I can't. I can show you. So this right here, I just have all of these pages around every. This picture right here, tell you a story about this picture, and the reason why I wanted it in what is it, Voyage ATL. I wanted that picture because while I was doing DMT, I had some things kick into my life, right? Giving me images and stuff. And I ended up talking to that person 15 years ago. And that was the person I was talking to in a mirror, older guy. Talking to this older guy, showing me wisdom and why I'm doing this and why I'm doing that and the things that I'm gonna approach and all this crazy shit. And it was probably like 2 years ago. I dropped something on the floor, went to go pick it up, and when I picked up my head, I saw that picture, the exact same picture of who I talked to in the mirror 15 years ago. that was the glimpse of the computer. That meant now's the time. And that just blew my mind. That just blew my mind. So I have this to show me. And I use blue painter's tape on everything.
It helps mark things well. And also it's very easy
Oh,
to access when you need it when
exactly. Just
time
pull it
for a
off. You're not peeling the walls off or anything like that. I use it as like an annoyance because it's annoying to see this.
really
So let me finish up this project and move it over someplace else. That's the way I've set myself up.
kind of like a checklist more or less.
Yeah. Just start consolidating everything and start moving things around as fast as I can because it's annoying.
Very interesting. Did you ever imagine that, because you're saying you're looking back at this and it's like you're looking at how time has gone by and how much has changed. Did you ever, Craig, in your life think that in those moments you would be where you were today?
No, I thought it'd be dead a long time ago. But, okay. That being said, I didn't think I would live to 58. Like if I was in my 20s, I was doing some crazy shit. I mean, how do you become wise? By being stupid first, right? I always knew that I would get myself out of situations that I put myself in. And I would put myself in situations just to get out of them. Like I would watch people fuck me over and I would sit there like this. As they were doing it, as they were screwing me over, it didn't matter if it was business, pleasure, it didn't matter. If somebody was screwing me over, I would just sit and watch and observe and be like, really? Like you give you an example. So I was doing some importing and exporting in Turks and Caicos.
Beautiful, beautiful islands.
Yeah, I can never
Beautiful
go back.
islands.
I could never go back. I'd murder somebody. So we're doing some importing into Turks. And so like I flew down there after my partner went for his honeymoon at that time, came back, like, I met this dude and we should do this and we should do that. And at that time, if you told us that like you had an opportunity, we were on a plane the next day and we were off. Like that's how we did it. And how we do it now is a little bit different, simply because now I want my jet. So I don't have to go to online and be strip searched just to get my nuts or the flight. No, it's not going to happen. My point is this, right? So doing some importing, went down there. I flew down there, met up with the guy, he took us to these stores, and it was like if you took this pad from the United States and you brought it down there, you paid $1 here, is $13 down there. Okay, no brainer. Let's just buy,
Um,
let's just buy 1,000 of these, and then I'll send them down to you. And when you get the money, you send it back. But only these weren't pads that I sent down. I sent down chainsaws. I sent down
ooh,
hand tools, um, picks, shovels, drills, sawzalls, like all of this stuff. And I put it in job boxes. And I think a couple or a few of them, whatever. It was a long time ago. Put them in, and I went to one of these outlets, these clothing outlets. Bought a whole bunch of like pony shirts and all this stuff, like the real pure shit. The pink one with the pony, and that was
the
like
the polo shirt.
yeah, but like the big horse, like Caribbean
Oh,
style,
extra extra fancy.
extra
Okay.
thing, right? So we packed all of this stuff, and it just happened. And in the town that I was living in, it was one of the ports that fed the Caribbean. It's like, oh, this is great. So we pack it up, move it in. Everything that we did, like I started not getting phone calls back. Right. So I'd call this guy out, hey, how did we do? And, oh, we did this and we did that. Okay, where's the money? Where's the money? Where's the money? Where's the money? Now, it was probably thousands. Okay. But he didn't know. He's screwing me now, right? He's not sending me any money. He's avoiding my phone calls. He's avoiding my emails and all this stuff.
Oh, I
Meanwhile,
hate those kinds of things.
but here's the thing. As he's doing this, I'm ready to send a tractor trailer filled all of this stuff. That's how we
Oh,
roll.
so your end of the deal has already been done.
I'm I'm ready to sign off and send this. And I can't get in contact with this guy. I only sent him 3 job boxes. I'm ready to send him a 54-foot tractor trailer filled with everything. Because you could buy lots here in the United States, unsealed boxes and all of this stuff, and put it together and ship it out all over the world. And you're screwing me from that. You don't know the level unless you know somebody. And to get to know somebody, you have to be emotionally vulnerable with each other, or else it's just not going to work. You want to be around people that you could trust, confide in, not this quick shit online. It's like, oh, look at so and so. He's got 111 billion people. Oh, I must follow him. He's not going to pay attention to you. She's not going to pay attention to you. Why must you follow? Because they got a nice pig steak tartare and some champagne on the side. And like, oh, he lives an extravagant lifestyle. I want that lifestyle. Do you know
They're
how
very
hard this person
sophisticated
works?
and fancy. I must be a part of that class and lifestyle. I have to today.
Must, yeah, have to.
I must.
It's like you don't know that person's be a loser. But according to his stuff, it's fantastic. So we must follow in that direction like zombies. No, shut this shit off. Find out what you want for yourself. Look in the mirror. Understand who you are first. Surround yourself with nice people.
I always I'm someone who's always trying to help others and lift other people up. And I always call myself like the cheerleader of the group because I want other people to feel good and positive and I can do this kind of attitude. And I kind of wonder um whether or not it's from the talks that we've had so far. And also I've even had I've had friends say um also look out for yourself. Is it a bad thing or is it possible to give too much to others?
Always. Without giving to yourself? Always. How can you fill up somebody's cup when your cup is dry? Right? You fill up your cup and you give everybody else the overflow. Save your cup. So you have to save your cup here. You have to be able to know your limits. So as I coach people, I'm going to go back to what you just said. Why do you have to save people? What possessed you to actually believe you could based off of your past experience as a human being? What gave you the authority? What gave you the authority to help somebody when all you're doing is projecting the shit onto them that you need help with?
Ooh, gotten to the core there. I like it though. I come from a background where it was a lot of without going into it too much because I
I
could
was
write a
I
book.
was just gonna
Okay.
say, nobody
Yeah.
cares. Nobody gives a shit. That's your
um
story.
um I come from a background of I've been in those dark spots and I've been in the place of either I don't feel good about myself, positive about something I've made or I'm working on. And I I'm the kind of person who I don't want anyone else to have to go through that. I try not to let other people go through that, especially if I really care about those people. I feel like it's some kind of savior complex of I want to make sure that they feel secure in themselves and they don't have to go through what I've experienced in the past because it sucks without a doubt.
Supposed to. Supposed to suck. That's how you learn. That's how you grow. That's a drought when you're not watering yourself. You're not watering yourself. You're not nurturing yourself. You're not fertilizing yourself. You're just letting the sun beat down on you and dry your shit out. Good. You have to nurture. We have to nurture ourselves. Then we look. We all get into these relationships. We all get in. We can all see people being deceptive, cheating, lying, stealing, all the shit. It's what you're gonna allow, right? So,
Yeah.
I I was doing this one thing on Facebook where it was like, if somebody broke into your house and stole your most valuable possessions, what would you do? I'd call the police. I'd have to call the insurance company. It wasn't the point of the question. What are you wasting your fucking time on? That's the question. If a thief comes in and steals your shit, most people don't understand. People are stealing their time, their energy. People, like, what are you sticking up for? Are you sticking up for yourself? Are you allowing people to walk all over you like a doormat? This is very important. It's very important because it's like, we have one shot at this. This is a one shot, one take experience life. I've been able to master, and by master, I mean just know enough to start learning. That's what mastery is, right?
Right.
Just like when you like, oh, I've mastered, you just learned the basics. That's fantastic.
The tip of the iceberg, more or less, is what the most cases are.
So think about what we try to master in life if we don't have any experiences. Nothing. It just keeps going around and around on gerbil. That's all we do. 9 to 5. You got to buy a house, you got to buy a car, you got to have the kids, you got to do this, you got a doggy, you got a fucking house, and you got to paint this, and you got to do that. And who says? Why can't you rent the place? I lived in Mexico. I didn't buy a place. I lived in a place because it was cheaper. My rent was like 10,000 pesos or something like that, and the house was like 500-600,000. Made no sense to purchase that. It's stupid. Means but people are always drawn into what people are going to say. How come you don't have a house? Like, one of the dumbest things in the United States is, like, we've been taught ever since we're little kids, so we're talking 40 years plus, your primary residence, you have to pay that off. You have to pay that off so you own it. Like, that's one of the biggest liabilities you could possibly happen to you, is paying off your home. That's stupid. Your primary residence, that's idiotic, because now you just put yourself into a liability where you have all this cash sitting in this house. So if something happens, the economy turns or whatever, you've just lost all of that. If somebody trips and sues you, you just lost all of it. Say, oh, we have insurance. You think insurance is going to cover your ass? That's the most laughable thing ever.
Sure. Yeah. All all that money and you're on your own. Good luck.
Yeah,
Say
all those dollars
thanks.
and no cents.
What inspired you to take the path that you're on now? What was a turning point for you when you finally said to yourself, this is exactly what I want to do and what I want to teach others uh, for for going forward?
What inspired me? Living, actually beating this shit, actually understand. Like, I have 4 certifications from the World Trade Center. Barrett's esophagus, GERDs, PTSD, and lung cancer. And I mean, there was a point last year where it was like, ENT, thoracic oncology, hematology oncology, rehab, orthopedic, Georgia behavioral health. And this is all shit that I had to just, and that was all in a month and a half. Like, why I do what I do is because I understand people are hurting. And I don't want them to be alone, because it sucks. It sucks when you're alone. Okay. When you feel
Darn
lonely,
straight.
it sucks. But then this is what happens. You become fucking powerful. When you have to, for yourself, understand who you are, become resilient, stand up again. Because you're standing up, it's like a guy in the ring, like boxes in a ring. You get a shit pounded out of you, just beat up all the time. And then you go down and you're like, if I get up, he's gonna knock the shit out of me again. You know what? So what? Maybe I'll knock the shit out of him or her. Doesn't matter. You got to stand up again. If somebody's bullying you, stand up again. And we use bullying too much for stupid shit. If I'm saying to you, Spencer, I don't like the way your hair is, that's fucking considered bullying. Spencer, grow some balls, man. Be like, no, I like my hair. And this is what people don't understand. You have to stick up for yourself. You have to command respect for yourself. Because if you're not respecting yourself, nobody's going to respect you. You're going to allow people to treat you the way you allow them to treat you. So if somebody's got snide remarks and shit like that, it might get away with it once or twice, but if it's a continuing thing, it's called a habit. They don't respect you. Now you can be a stoic and just absorb it and watch. Somebody, oh, you're this, you're that. You're right. That pisses people off. People want to see a reaction, right? If especially if they're
Bigger
intent.
the better. The bigger the better.
Yeah, yeah. And the sad part is it took me so long to realize that they were actually hurting more than me. Like somebody says something to me, I know it's based off of their experience. Most people don't experience anything. So why the hell would I care? Well, why would I care? It doesn't matter. It could be your husband, your wife, your kids. It doesn't matter. It could be your associates at work. You have to stand up for yourself. Nobody's going to stand up for you. So if somebody's saying something to you and you don't like it, tell them. If not, be stoic and absorb it. Because now what they're doing is they're showing you their selves. So now you're absorbing them because all they're doing is they're being an actor in their movie, right? You're just an extra in their movie. But I'm the real actor in my movie. So if I want to sit and be the fool, to fool the fools that think they're fooling you as the fool, so be it. Life is chess, it's not checkers. If people feel that they're going to get away with something, let them. I mean, what is it? Oh, so-and-so screwed me over. So think about this. Did they screw you over or did they just give you an opportunity to be free from them?
Way to look at it.
Right? If you really want to understand people, put money in the mix. Watch what stupid people do about money. People will screw you over so quick, and I don't care who it is. You cannot sell out in this life. And once you do, it doesn't matter who it is. If somebody sells out, somebody actually crosses that line and sells out, they just gave you everything, man. They give you a free life. Walk away from it. There was a in the Bronx Tale. It's like, oh, he owes me $30. Kick his ass. It's like, did you just get off easy with the $30? Now he's never gonna come to you. He's gonna always keep running from you. For $30, you got rid of him. God bless.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah. It's it especially with like money stuff nowadays, everything is very it's a lot of people try and find any way they can to make cash and by any means necessary, good or bad.
Screwing people over here.
Um and it's I believe we had talked about this before about how people were just become so desensitized to other people and what's going on in the world around us, and how our actions really, the gravity of our actions, how they really impact other people. What we say isn't just gone with the wind. Our words could change someone's life in a heartbeat, for better or worse. And people just don't seem to care. Whatever. Not my problem. On your own.
People get pissed off if they have rainbow sprinkles where it should have been chocolate sprinkles in a mocha latte.
Yeah,
I mean, how do we think like this? What programmed us to think like this? Well, when you give your kids everything, when you just let them do whatever the fuck they want, you don't chastise them in any way. You don't set any structure. You don't, when they're doing bad things, you don't encourage them and give them rewards for doing bad shit. Chastise. You sit there like, why did you do that? Make them think. No, no, little Johnny, little Jamie, let them do whatever they want. Because now mommy and daddy have time for mommy and dad. Give Junior his friggin' iPhone, iPad, or whatever, and let somebody else entertain his ass. Yeah. This is
I
our
see that all,
society now. This is it.
I see it all the time too. A couple of years ago, at one of my jobs I had uh, at a restaurant, there were so many times where I would see new parents. I guess it's the right word you can call it, new parents, younger parents, parents who definitely it's the first kid and they're still young themselves, um, like the late 20s, early 30s, and they would always be quick to, if the kids started acting up, they would just be like, "Oh, grab the iPad, give them the iPad, problem solved." It's like connect with your kid, connect with other people. It's get rid of the phones and the iPads. That it doesn't hold value. Well, value when you buy the darn things, but doesn't really do much for our lives and our relationships.
No, complicates them. It does. We create so many complications in our lives where we just need to just shut up, sit back, observe yourself, observe the people that are in your life, reevaluate your relationships every 6 months. People go in different directions. People want different things. Somebody was just telling me there was one of their friends getting divorced after 60 years. So if they got married when they were like teens or 20s, they've been married 60 years, 80 years old, and they're getting divorced. Why? Because they want different things.
Power to them.
God bless them.
Power to them.
You have to always test your relationships, and you're going to put up with what you're going to put up with for whatever reasons you do. And some of those are codependent relationships, some of those trauma bonding shit, like all of these crazy things that humans go through and what humans do to each other, in the quest of humanity. That's not humanity. Fucking people over is not humanity. It's not what you're supposed to do. We're here, learn, grow, and then go home. Because I'm never incarnating back to this lunatic asylum. I'm just not, I'm correcting my behaviors before I take off. Now, I have the opportunity now. I have the opportunity now of being on people's podcasts, speaking all over the world. And I'm just like, wow, I'm amazed that I have an opportunity like this. I used to want to climb on top of the mountain so everybody can see me. Now I want to climb on top of the mountain so I can see who's coming up. Because that's an entirely different way of viewing life. I never look down on people unless I'm going to give them my hand to bring them up. And, I'm not looking to fuck people over. People intentionally want to screw you over.
For what?
That's just society. Shits and giggles, money. Doesn't matter. People are jealous, envious. So if they could stop you in a certain way from not being, got to remember, if we're from childhood, right? We all started at the same line. If I take off and you're still here, you're pissed off at me. Why? You had the same opportunity. You had the same 24 hours in a day. You just didn't want to put the work in. So myriad of ways that we can look at things. It's a plethora of opportunities out there, man. Just gotta, take our butterfly wings and start flapping.
We gotta take that leap now rather than wait for somebody or something, whatever it may be, to knock knock on our front door and to be like, I see that you've been waiting so patiently for this chance. Let me give you this opportunity.
Good
You've
luck with that.
waited. You didn't work. You've worked mentally, but didn't put an hour in for it, but you've waited for it. So I shall just give it to you. Eh, like the fairy godmother the analogy earlier, that just doesn't happen.
Nobody's coming to
It
save
never
you.
will happen.
Nobody's coming to save you. You have to go out and actually do what it is that you're looking to take action on. You can talk all kinds of shit about what I'm gonna do. I used to love that. Oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this. That's good. You make yourself look like an idiot. Again, though, I believe you have to go through all of these embarrassing situations, all these humiliating things that'll beat you down, pummel you into the dirt. So you're on your knees again and just sitting there in thought and just be like, I gotta change my life. Which means I gotta change myself first, and my life will follow. Nobody wants to change themselves because it's too much work. I want to change everybody else. That's not how the world works. It's not why we're here. Again, it's just my perspective. But why am I going to say, oh, Spencer, you know what? This shit's never going to happen for you. Instead of, hey, Spencer, keep going at it. Because I can see where it's going to just take off. Why can't people be like that? Why are you going to be like, oh, no, Spencer, green is off, the black is off, that what is that shit over there? And what is this over there? And
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. And it's like, who gives a shit? This is what I like. This is the color that I like. Nobody's being outwardly aggressive by standing up for themselves. We think standing up for ourselves now is a sickness. And the sickness is actually the shit that people do to other people. That's the sickness. Actions speak louder than words. And that's something that a lot of people in the society don't understand.
It's we are currently living in an age where everyone is just very soft these days. Very soft, very sensitive, very more in tune with their feelings than I feel than ever before. Not to say that people didn't acknowledge their feelings in the past, but it's definitely a new age of people are all about sharing their feelings, being very open and vulnerable, and um how it makes them feel when someone does something or they say something. It's more tolerated than it was when even when I was growing up. It was still very don't don't be too forward with how you feel because then other people, you don't know what they're gonna say. But these days, if you say one wrong thing, you stepped on someone's toes and oh, shut it down. Shut it down. They're a terrible person. They said
Cancel,
this, and
cancel them.
I feel offended because they said that thing.
I saw somebody lose their shit. I don't know if it was real or not, right? Because it's the internet. So, and they
You
were,
never know.
yeah, you never
You never
know.
know.
They were crying. They're supposed to be some kind of influencer. They were crying because there was meat emojis on his iPhone, and I was just like, "You got a mental illness. You're fucked up. You should be addressing that more so than a meat emoji." And it was kind of like, oh, I can't believe, and I've called and I've told Apple they need to do this, and yeah, they're gonna listen to you, sure, whatever. You're so fucked up in the head where your reality is just twisted, and this is where people, so some shit. A girl wanted to be a cat in school, so they brought her a litter box.
Okay.
So she's a cat. So we dress her as a kitty cat. And she's got a litter box in the room. It's like fucking society is. This is why the aliens keep flying by, man. They ain't coming in. They're done. No, look at
Oh,
the shit that we do. This is ridiculous. And again, I don't know if it was true or false. It was some kind of comedy thing or whatever, but nothing surprises me anymore. Nothing.
I say that all the time myself. I always say, you know what? I've officially seen it all, but somehow, some way, there's always someone who tops it. And I think that's also another thing that a lot of people try to do nowadays is if someone does something shocking or really bad or something, I feel like people feel like it's a quick way to fame, I guess. Just because, oh, it'll get me a lot of attention and my name will be in everyone's mouth and I'll be well known and this will be my chance to hit it off, make it big. And it's like, stop, just stop. It's we're it's like watching the world's worst rom-com, a really bad comedy movie.
Yeah.
It it's I just don't know why and how we've come. I say we, but how people have come to adopt kind of thinking in their daily lives.
It's delusional thinking. It's delusional thinking. And because nobody calls people out on their shit. Nobody does. It's like, oh, so and so, let them just be them. Okay, but if they're hurting people, you got to call them out on their shit, or else they're going to continue hurting people. I mean, we've gotten to this in society now where it's like nobody calls people out on their shit. Again, going back to the entrepreneurship with kids. Kids make a couple few $1,000,000 or 30, 40, $100 million now because everything is digitized, right? So the money comes so fast. And
Sure.
they look at themselves like they're the best thing since sliced bread. And it was like, no, you put the work in, you got lucky. Can you produce that again? Or is it just a one shot, a one shot thing? You're a one hit wonder. Don't know. Now, how many friends did you have before versus how many friends you have now? I'm sure you have more friends now than you ever did before. Keep driving around in that fucking Lamborghini and that Ferrari when you're 22 years old. You're never going to know who your friends are. And this is the society that we've created.
We've even talked about earlier how people are so caught up in the belief of their value is determined based on how many likes they get, reposts, retweets, followers, any of that kind of stuff. They believe that their value is determined by numbers like that. But in reality, let's say if you have like 15,000 followers online, out of those 15,000 people who are following you, there's like only 5 or 10
Yeah, we were talking
people
about
who
that.
are close to you, who really matter to you and make a difference
Yeah,
and you can
they
relate
don't
with.
care if you died. Yeah, they'll care if you died. Yeah. Nobody else will. It's like, what are you concentrating on all of those people? I remember when I first got on Facebook and I posted something. Then I posted another thing. And then I had no idea what Facebook was. This is in 2009. And so I'm like posting all this stuff. And then somebody commented on it. And I was like, they can comment on this shit? Oh, this is going to be really interesting. I just started posting all of this lunacy shit, like all this crazy stuff. And people, oh, you think like this and you think like that. I'm like, I'm a knucklehead from Jersey. I'm experimenting, man. I'm seeing this shit for what it is. And this is what it is. Can you, man, I know of people, TikTok, they had one video, that shit just went viral. They changed their life literally in 10 minutes, overnight, like overnight. And that, sure, I mean, it's a good thing, right? If you're helping people and your shit blows up, that's fantastic. But if you're not helping people and your shit blows up, I mean, what's the sense? You have to be helping people. You have to have whatever your vision is, has to be bigger than you will ever be. And this is where I think people get confused because it's all about, the self realization that now I'm an asshole because I do stupid shit because now I'm supposed to be at this level. So I think that I have to be like this at this level. Furthest thing from the truth. You can be the nicest person in the world and still have an amazing life. You don't have to be like these fucking people shooting their shit off and commenting on stupid stuff or what are they the trolls and all. Man, those are probably your best friends with different accounts just to piss you off. I mean, no, you don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah, nobody knows. And we put so much belief into what you were just saying, right? I believe when I become famous or I need to be famous in 20 minutes, this way I could show people how smart I am. It's like just that statement makes you look like an idiot. I mean, it's gotten to a point now, again, gotten to a point now where it's like social media is it's a sickness. It really is. Like I go through analytics all the time. Go through analytics all the time. Not because I want like the endorphins to kick in and cortisol rush and no, I want to know analytics. Am I improving my shit? Because I love the percentage stuff. That stuff, that's great math. Because you could have one person follow you, then you have 6 people follow you. If you go to the analytics, that's where the cortisol hits. When it's like, oh, you just went up 500%, 5,000%. And it's like, I had one person, now I got like 6, 7. One person commented. So if they didn't comment before, you went from 0 to 100%. You just gained 100%, and oh my God, you got 2 people following you. Just put content out for yourself. That's it. Put content out for yourself. If you're consistent in what you do and you have great content, people will like your stuff. People will follow you. Don't do it for that. Do it for your self-expression. Become yourself. People, oh, you curse so much. The fucking world is profound, man. Okay. There's shit going on all over the place that is far more bizarre than me saying fuck instead of fucking somebody over. I don't want to be the person that screws people over. I want to be the person that addresses why you screwed somebody over. Actions speak louder than words. The words hurt? Yes, words hurt all the time. But you also have to develop thick skin for yourself in 2024. Because cultures around the world are not going to put up with everybody's bullshit. They're just not. And if you're going to be traveling around the world and all this, I know of so many stories where people will go to certain countries and shit and think they can do whatever they want and they end up in prison. It's like, oh, I can't believe well, I told you, don't bring drugs in. You fucking brought drugs in. You're going to prison. This is not the United States where your daddy, the lawyer, is going to make a fucking phone call and get your stupid ass out of whatever jam you got jammed up with the last 35 times. No, this is Indonesia where they'll decapitate you for drugs. You know what I mean? Like, don't get stupid. And we live in a stupid society. We really do. And we need to understand more about the human connection. We actually need to do that for ourselves. This is my belief. I mean, people be listening to this shit going, this guy babbling a whole bunch of nonsense. Oh,
I for one I'm loving this. This is,
thank
as
you.
always, Craig, you're you're hitting out of the park with there's just so much power behind all of your statements. And it's said with such conviction and into strength that it's hard not to feel moved or touched by all that you're sharing. So
Thank you.
everyone listening at home, like come on now. This is some awesome stuff. And good brain food to think about moving forward. So
If
to kind of wrap things up for this evening, um, I guess let me ask by first saying, I know that you call yourself the shaman from New Jersey. Where did that come from?
alchemy, it became it for me. So I think I want to say July 10th. I'd gone into the ER and I had pleurisy again, but it was the first time I had pleurisy after they removed my lobes, and it was crushing. It was the second time. It was the second time in a month I went to the ER, and it was crushing. And they gave me morphine, which after an hour did nothing. Then they gave me Dilaudid, which is like 8 times more powerful than morphine. Then they had given me like Benadryl, I think, like liquid Benadryl, which will take down an elephant.
Yeah.
And all I remember was them shaking me, putting oxygen up my nose, and saying, "Breathe, Craig, breathe." And I was like, "What the hell just happened?" And it was like God came down, punched me in the face, and was like, "Wake up, now go do it." And again with that picture, because this is it. I'm the old guy now, 58 years old, and I'm here for a reason. We're all here for a reason, and I believe 100% that you have to find out what that reason is. So experience life. You have to go out and experience things. It's the only way you're going to learn. I used to want to tell people about my experiences so they didn't mess up. It's like, no, what I realize is you have to mess up because it's your experience. I could tell you something about my life, but it's not going to be your experience because you have a different story. You have a different thing going about yourself because we're all unique. We're one of 8 billion, 7.5, 8 billion. So there's no two of the same. So show your uniqueness, embrace it. As long as you're not hurting somebody, who cares? Seriously.
A whole we're like a melting pot of diversity and differences. And rather than try to put other people down for being different, we need to accept that we're never all going to be the same. And
Oh, of course.
life would suck if we were all the same and we thought the same way because there wouldn't be any it would practically be we would know the answer from the other person before the words even left their lips of, oh, I know exactly what they're going to say because I just thought the same thing. No, we're different because we're different to share and change one another with how to look at things and solve problems and come together and make something entirely brand new from two different mindsets. And
Yeah,
that's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
yeah, 100%. We need to share our commonalities more so than our differences. We're human beings, right? So we all think the same for the most part. We're visual, audio. We, we get triggered by things that are not good for us because of our past experiences, stories. And if something's triggering you, like the audience, right? If something's triggering you, work on that trigger so it doesn't trigger you anymore. You might think about it in a fleeting thought, but it's not going to bring you down to your knees. It's not going to create that fetal position on the floor. Now, I see grown-ups fetal position on the fucking floor. You're just a child. You're a child because you haven't worked on yourself. Doesn't matter what your mommy said to you, your daddy, or whatever position you've been in, or a story that you believe, and all this bullshit. It's your responsibility to take control of your life because nobody's coming to save you. And I think that's what society really needs to understand. Nobody's coming, like you said before, nobody's coming to save your ass. You got to stand up again, man. You got to be resilient. You got to have tough skin. All of this shit. Because life is not, you cannot control your outside influences, your outside forces, the stories that people are going to say about you. And good, because I want to listen to how stupid people are. I've heard stories about me where I was just like, that never even existed or happened. But okay, it makes the mystery even bigger.
A kind of a he said, she said ordeal of what really happened.
Yeah,
Because I think I think you had said before when we had spoke earlier about we could be having this conversation right now, same conversation. We're both present in this moment right now. However, when we walk away from this, both you and I will have two totally different things that we've left the conversation with. And
yeah.
we've said the same thing, heard the same words, and yet the outcome for each of us will be different.
That's why the worst thing you can have in an accident scene is witnesses. Witnesses suck because they're based off of their own experiences. So you could see the exact same thing with three people and have three different stories because it's based off of their perspective and experience. And that's just how life is. So you have to embrace other people's opinions, other people's perspectives, and embrace it in a way where it's like they're saying it. Don't absorb it as 100% truth because they're saying some shit, not you. Your truth is your truth. That's your belief. That's why there's always that lie in the middle of your belief system.
One more thing that I wanted to ask you, Craig, before we wrap things up tonight, is what would you say are some super important things for um the younger people who may be watching that you believe that they should adapt to their own lifestyle and perhaps even their businesses to really live their best life and achieve all that they possibly can.
Yeah, you just said it. You just said it. Like, why would you want to take on why would you want to take on something that you don't have a vested interest in? Right. So you have to be there for yourself. You whatever it is that you're looking to do it. And fail fast. Understand that failing, if you really want to use the word fail, you failed if you stopped. If you stop failing, you're done. How else are you going to learn? I mean, you got kids coming out with business degrees. They get a $60,000 job. Fucking business degree. This is ludicrous. I mean, and I say you, I'm talking about the general population. So I'll say we. We live in this world where everything is the highlights, everything is the reels. Make your story have some bad things added to it. When you're telling your story, tell your whole story. Don't leave anything out. And when you do that, it becomes quite cathartic when you're able to tell your story and not have that emotional attachment to it. I don't have any emotional attachment to my shit anymore. I'm going through stuff right now that most people would be just driven down to their knees and want to like go under the dirt. But I cannot
Right.
allow it to change my physiology, my chemistry set. I just can't. And when you start to understand like what we are, like actually who we are, you'll never think shitty thoughts about yourself ever again. That takes practice. That takes experience. Because you're this living embodiment of soul. You're a soul with a human body, not a human body with a soul. If that makes sense. I mean, first
Yes.
off, you're that. Then me, myself, and I. Those are the three people I love most: me, myself, and I. Because I'm having a healthy relationship with myself now. I've been through so much shit, been through all the crying, been through all the finger pointing. Oh, you did me wrong, you did me wrong, you did me wrong. You know what happened? I did it in the mirror. I said, you did me wrong. It's like, oh, yeah, that's right. I took accountability and responsibility for my life. Everything changes. Now, you can't blame other people for your shit that you allowed in your life, because you allowed it in your life. If somebody did something wrong with you, you're in a relationship with them. So you allowed that person into your life to do that to you. Suck it up, buttercup. Change your shit.
Take responsibility for your own actions.
Absolutely. You'll be better off. You'll be better off, and you'll be able to serve more people when you do that. Because people understand authenticity. They also understand fake. The world's a fugazi, man. It's so much bullshit. That's why I wrote the book, Everybody Pays a Vig. Because there's a part of you you're never getting back, ever. So understand that you have to become the house. You have to sit in your temple. It's the only real estate that you can own. All the other shit is just contracts, lies, deceptions. If you're not lying and deceiving yourself, living a pretty good life, man. Don't fall for all the outside shiny shit.
Don't don't go after the shiny object. The real prize is behind the dull stuff.
That's what gives you your shine. That's what creates that diamond, is all the pressure in this world. People don't want to be under pressure. Be under pressure. That's what makes you shine. When you have heart and brain coherence, man, you have a 3 meter electromagnetic energy field around you. When you move into somebody else, that's now at 6. You move to somebody else, that's 9. Then you take 3 more people, that's 18. So it just keeps growing, getting bigger and bigger. And what happens? The light just becomes brighter and brighter and brighter till you're like, wow, these are all star seeds. These are all people who have been through so much shit, and they have the ability to bounce back. You have to be resilient and stand up for yourself. Be nice. You can get more with honey than dog shit. Be nice.
Oh man, Craig, this is uh, even for a second time hearing all this. Um, some of these familiar words that we used earlier today. I still feel so full of I feel so vivacious and so alive in this moment, and I'm so glad that I could have you on today to share your story and all the insight and knowledge that you've learned over the years, because I can guarantee you that I've been moved today and I've been changed for the better. So this was a very, very successful podcast episode tonight.
Thank you very much. I have to leave you better than what I found you. Or else I'm not
Mission
doing
accomplished.
it.
Mission accomplished.
And vice versa as well. You've left me in a much better place than what I was. And I think, and I really do believe, once we start just giving ourselves more opportunities to become friends with people, to be nice. And I really do. I believe that when you're nice, nice things happen to you. Do bad things happen to nice people? All the time. That's why you can't concentrate on all of this nonsense. You have to concentrate on this. This is what you have to put the time and energy into, is yourself. Because life's coming for you whether you want to participate or not. Murphy's Law is real. God has a funny sense of humor. Somebody said one time, if you want to hear God laugh, tell him your plans. Absolutely. And then people are like, well, I don't believe in God. Whatever you believe in, man. God is just a word. It's a universe. It's an energy field, whatever you want to call it. I'm not religious. I had the nuns beat Jesus out of me when I was a kid with them friggin' rulers and smacking my hands and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't like
My
religion.
my mom has some stories. She didn't go to a Catholic school, but she always tells me stories of back in the day. And the typewriter, that for if your fingers weren't on the home row arched, then the wooden ruler, no hesitation, smack on the back of the
Swat.
hand.
Yeah. I didn't go to Catholic school. I didn't go to religious school. I went to catechism.
Oh, okay.
No, I couldn't take that.
Shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't take. There's no way. There's no way I could take that.
Nowadays, if anyone did that kind of um if
I'd
that
be in
was
prison by
what
12 o'clock. Yeah.
I know you'd be in trouble if you ever did that to a student nowadays. Different world, different
My
times.
my daughter just turned 18 the other day, and I told her, I said, "Well, now you're 18. You do anything wrong, you're going to jail, if not prison. So you have to understand this is real life now. All that bullshit before, she's like, yeah, I know it was juvie. Yeah, exactly. Now you're going to jail. Now you're going to prison. You know, like this is an entirely different reality. If you're with bad people and bad things happen, guess what? You're guilty by association. You're going to jail. Be nice. Be around nice people.
Give back. Give back in the world.
Yeah,
We need to
be of service to others.
lift each other up than tear each other down, which so many people like to do these days.
Of course, because they want to feel significant without actually putting the work in. And I think Mike Tyson said it best. The way the internet is now, people say whatever they want, not realizing because they not got punched in the face. You get punched in the face, it hurts. You can hide behind everything now.
Keyboard warriors, you know? Oh
Exactly.
man.
Anyway, Spencer, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Well, that just about does it, ladies and gentlemen. This has been episode 3 of Are You Saurious with the incredible Craig Satkovsky. So, round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, please. It was such a pleasure to have you on tonight, Craig. You were awesome.
Thanks, Spencer. Appreciate it.
And I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your night and all
Well,
the best to you moving forward. I hope we can chat again soon.
sure, definitely. Thanks, Spencer.
Of course. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, stay scaly.